Let's bring in Robert Jobson, ABC News contributor and royal editor of the London Evening Standard. And you know, thank you, first of all, so much for being with us, and your commentary has been so helpful all throughout this process. You know, what we're seeing, it truly felt historic today, because most of us have never been alive to see this happen before, of course, with her on the throne for 70-plus years. So tell us a little bit about the historical significance, for example, seeing the coffin draped in the flag and the crown placed on top.
Well, see, that was the crown of Scotland. It was the standard of the royal standard of Scotland, because going years ago, the two crowns, the Scottish and the English, were separate. And so, therefore, we're dealing with what it would be, how they would bury their Scottish monarch. And now, and then after that, there would be her coffin would be taken down to London, where we'll be burying the English and the British monarch. So this really is traditional. I think it's almost fate, really, that the Queen died in Scotland, because this would not have taken place had she not, because this is Operation Unicorn. It's very separate from Operation London Bridge, which was going to come into play when they go down to London. So it's almost like there's two funerals, like two crowns.
And there was a plan in the event of either option. So give us a sense. Obviously, we know these 10 days of mourning. What comes next? Once her body makes it down, it'll be flown to London tomorrow, and then what?
Well, then initially what will happen, of course, is the royal family will again gather. It's still a mourning, but the body will lie in state in Westminster Hall, where people will be able to actually come and pay their respects, rather like they've been able to pay their respects here, but for a longer period. And I think back to writers like Vincent Mulcrone, who wrote in the Daily Mail that there were two rivers flowing through London when Churchill died. There was a state funeral, and one of them was the Thames, and the other was a river of mourners. Now, there will be the same, I think, for Elizabeth. There will be thousands upon thousands of people wanting to pay their respects, queuing for hours on end to just get in to pay their respects to the only monarch many of them have ever known.
And give us a sense, you know, so many people were kind of surprised to see both of the princes with their wives, Will and now Catherine, and Harry and Meghan together. Kind of give us a sense of the family dynamic going forward, as much as we have access to.
Well, there's been a lot of talk, hasn't there, about this family rift between William and Harry, shall we say, and their wives for some time now. Now, that is not made up. It is absolutely true. Now, what I think was very important was that, whether or not with the King's instruction, but William extended an olive branch to his younger brother to go and to meet the crowds and to look at the flowers that had been left for their grandmother. And I think it was a very good picture, the Fab Four. Obviously, the tabloids, Fleet Street here, made a lot of that. But in my opinion, this was just a truce. This was just a moment. Hopefully, because we all hope the families get back together, and this is a beginning of that. But I think this was really just a truce at this moment. There's a lot of friction and tension going on between those brothers, and I still don't think it's resolved. So I don't think the Fab Four, as I say, doing the band analogy with the Beatles, are getting back together.
Right, and hopefully not just a photo op. Hopefully it is a little bit more
than that, but not.
Sure.
Shouldn't be too much more than that.
Understood. And lastly, just curious, because we've seen so clearly the admiration, the adoration, the reverence that many people held for the Queen. We saw that out in the streets here today in Edinburgh. We know that the King's favorability is not as high, certainly, as the Queen's. But how do you think that people are going to view this changing of the guard, so to speak?
Well, I think really it's a bit like the presidency. It's not necessarily the personality, it's the office that you respect. And I think that is definitely going to be the case with the King. I've already noticed that there's a lot of warmth to the new King. On all of the Commonwealth realms, as they're called, there's about 14 or 15 of them all. Barbados just left. But they are all going to be a part of the Commonwealth, 54 nations, all equal, with him as head of the Commonwealth. And so that's really the former British Empire, if you like, essentially. But they're all equal now, and basically I think he will lead that and help utilise those nations, which form a lot of young people, to to push when she was the queen of the queen of the world. I think he'll be the king that tries to help save the world with climate change and issues like that. So he's going to use his time as a great convener, I think, and a leader in bringing people together to make a difference in that way.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to hear your insight. Really appreciate your time.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.